Well, good morning, everybody. Grace and peace to you from our Lord Jesus Christ and all the saints here in Central California. I'm back here in the MDF. Ta-da! Because this is where I have staged some equipment that we're getting ready to set up. We are going to be replacing our firewalls. And actually, probably getting rid of one pair. So you see up here we got a firewall. That's one of our well, can't tell it's a firewall. Trust me. This blue box up here on the top, that guy right there, that's one of our border firewalls. So it protects us from the internet and the WAN. We've got another firewall down here. That is a firewall between us and our electronic medical records provider, because they've got a WAN connection into us. They're a separate entity. They're another company. So we have they've got a firewall. We've got a firewall, just to protect us from them and protect them from us. Same reason they have a firewall. So what we're going to be doing is combining the function of this firewall and this firewall into one, and then we're going to add another firewall that's going to add, so that's what we call north-south protection, and we're going to also add east-west protection, which is going to be protecting our server subnet from the user VLANs. And we're going to have a few other security zones. We're going to have servers, we're going to have medical devices, we're going to have, I don't know, we're going to have like 10 zones. I don't remember what they all are. The vendor that's setting it up is making the recommendation, so we'll see what he comes up with. So what we're going to be replacing them with are these guys. Look at these right here. So we've got 4 Palo Alto firewalls. These two 3U units here. Sounds funny. 2 3U units. One here. That's going to become our border firewalls, and what we call our Cerner firewall. Cerner is our medical records provider. So those two firewalls are going to be combined into these two. One will go here in the MDF. One will go up in the data center. And then the east-west firewalls that's going to provide protection for our server environment is going to be these two up here. And again, one will go here in the MDF, and one will go up there in the data center. So since the vendor is going to be setting them up, all I've done is unbox them and stage them. This massive cables here is connecting them to this switch down here on the bottom. And then that switch is connected over by this cable over into our live network environment. So that once I set up an IP address on these these firewalls, the vendor can get to them and then configure them to his heart's delight. So yeah, these are Palo Alto 5250s are going to be our border firewalls, and 3260s are going to be our security east-west firewalls. I don't know too much about them because I just got them, but I know you can set up a VMware type environment in them. They got disks, so you can set up virtual servers. These two each have 1 disk each. These guys have a ton. So I don't know that we'll be using that functionality, but it's there if we need it, and if not, then the disk is just also used for firewall functions, and it's nice to have it hot swappable so that you can just replace one and not have to worry about it or expand disk space. So gonna be pretty cool. That's really all I got to say about these firewalls. I'll tell you a little bit more about how they're set up. So we got a management connection right here. This is what's going to connect into your network environment, and that's the IP address you're going to use to get to the firewall. That's strictly for getting to the firewall, managing the firewall, doing whatever you need to do on the firewall. Got a console cable here. Plugs into a console port. It'll give you plug your laptop in it for initial setup, or in case you can't get to it over the network, you can console in and through a console cable and do some troubleshooting. There's two other ports here. We have a high availability ports. So there's two of them per unit. And the way we typically set them up is one is a layer 3, the other is a layer 2. And they just provide heartbeat and state information to each other. And they also synchronize their configs over that cable as well. So there's two of those. And those will go between the two firewalls. I have them going down to the switch, so to simulate these guys being on different parts of the campus. You can just use like a crossover, or just use a short cable to connect them, but we connect them right into the network environment because they're separated. We can't just use a single cable. So that's just the management and heartbeat functions of the firewall. The actual ports that get protected are over here on this side. So that we got a bunch of copper ports, which we're probably not going to use. Yeah, we'll use one maybe. And then we have fiber ports. And those are the guys that actually the data goes off of. So we got these go up to 1 gig. These go up to 10 gig. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. 1 gig, 10 gig, 40 gig. There, we back up a little bit. 40 gig ports. So, yeah, look at that. Yeah, and these have more copper connections, I guess, because theoretically we could plug some servers straight in. These have more fiber connections because that's typically what we're going to be using in the data center environment. So, yeah, that's that. And so the other thing this morning is they're doing power transfer testing. So hopefully that doesn't happen while I'm talking to you. I was just getting set up to start the video and all the lights went out. And these guys lost power because they're not on a UPS. They're just temporarily being set up. I got them plugged into a power switch right there. And just plugged into a power outlet that's dropping out of the ceiling. So there's no UPS protection if we lose power. They will lose power, and then when they come back on, they roar like a lion. Look at all them fans. They're loud. Sounds like a jet engine spinning up to take off. So yeah, I just want to give you kind of a brief rundown of the next project that's coming out. I will not be running this project. It's fairly complex and time-consuming, and I could do it, but we're on a skeleton staff here. I've got to do things like, go plug cables in and troubleshoot wireless connections. And they don't want me tied up on a project. They want me available to the hospital. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have vendors set this all up and get it the way we want. Make sure it's meeting all the security standards of the industry, best practices, because I don't know all that. I don't have time to keep up on all of it. Yeah, and then we'll be sticking them in this rack somewhere and sticking them up in the data center somewhere. So, yeah, just a little update since we moved to Fabric as well. This rack is now empty. So I don't know if you remember what was there, but I had 2 large distribution switches here, and they are gone. Nothing there. Nothing but a couple of lonely UPSs, and they're still there to run these guys. These are our VoIP routers, and that is the only thing in this rack. At some point we'll move them, but right now they've got some phone lines that are hardwired in, and we would have to take a bunch of phones down to move that. And we're still recuperating from the Fabric project, so we're not ready to take that on just yet. So, trying to think if there's anything else I can update you guys on. I don't think so. This network here, Philips. That's going to be one of our projects. This is just UPS, but I'm just pointing at it because it's got the name on it. There's the network up there. This is going to be one of the projects we take on in the future. We're going to be this Philips network here. This is our patient vitals. So heartbeat, heart rate, pulse, all that stuff. That, you see the little machine next to the patient. I got all the probes all over. Those things are attached to the network, and they send those vitals to servers, and they're displayed on the big wall mount at the nurse's station, so they can see all the heart rates of all the patients. It's all very Star Trekky. This is the hub of that network, and it's a separate network. I don't manage that one. Well, I will be. I don't really like that. I would prefer that be a separate vendor managed network, because it's connected to the patients, and it's very important. But we'll be taking all these out to replace with devices I manage, and we're going to do a one-for-one replacement on those. I don't want them integrated into my network. I mean, this is reachable by my network, but it's not integrated in, meaning, if any part of my network goes down, this keeps running, because they're all separate switches on the different floors of the hospital up there. So we're going to replace all their switches with my switches, and I'm going to do one-for-one replacement that's going to be managed separately from the rest of my network. So that's a project that's upcoming. I don't know when we're slated to begin that, and I will be running that project. So yeah, that's about all the updates we got. So we're running up on 12 minutes here. That's long enough. If you're still with me, God bless you. So as always, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, click the subscribe button, click the notification bell. If you want to know when I upload this drivel, you will be notified. So lights have stayed on. Power test isn't over yet. I guess I'll know when it's done, when the lights go off again. So anyway, grace and peace to you guys all. Have a great week, and God bless.